Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. Today we are diving into an exciting and mind-boggling session that will truly elevate your coding skills to the next level. We'll cover everything from learning about Ollama and function calling using Llama 3.1 to creating a fully functional front end using Streamlit. This video is a one-step solution for keeping up with the latest AI innovations. And trust me, it's going to be a game changer for you. Without further ado, let's get started. By the end of this video, you are going to have this beautiful app from Prompt Engineer where you can ask different questions related to the functions that you have modeled. And for example, we have the stock price function calling ability. It's able to fetch the current stock price of Tesla and hopefully give you the output here. So the current stock price of Tesla is 207. Let me check. TSLA stock price 207.84. Another question that I can ask is, of course, you can have a list of different questions that you would like to ask an LLM, but in this video we are checking the function calling abilities of the LLM. So for example, we ask this question of what's up with the weather in Kolkata, then we get the weather of Kolkata is this entire thing where we have the wind speed here, we have the temperature in Celsius degrees in Fahrenheit here, we have the temperature in Celsius here, and you can see the last update time is as of now, just 15 to 16 minutes ago. Humidity is 94%, and we have other things that we are going to see later. Now, another function that we model is what is the total number of COVID cases in, let's say, France. And you can just, of course, I have spelled it wrong, but you can see the number of COVID cases in France is 44 million, 4 million. It's 40 million. So 40 million cases in France. Now you will be able to come up with this particular app. So let's get started and code up everything from the beginning. So I would like to close this and just close everything, even close the Visual Studio Code editor. Let's get started. So first of all, you need to have Ollama installed, and the magic that you have seen, the Ollama is the magic. The model that we have used is the Llama 3.1, and that was a local model which is running on my local system, and it's pretty amazing, it's pretty fast. So first and foremost, go ahead and download Ollama. If this is the first time you're using Ollama, Ollama is a place where you can run different models. You can see there are different models available, open source models, and we have the models sorted by most popular, the newest, and the featured. So we have different models. These are the large language models. You can download on your system, or you can use it on your virtual GPUs on the web. But in my case, I'm using this PC where I have an 8 GB GPU, and it's sufficient. It's pretty good in terms of running the LLM. So we go ahead and go to download here. So this is ollama.com/download. We have the options for macOS, Linux, Windows. Basically, we just need to download for Windows, get the installer file, start up the installer file, and that's it. Now, in order to check if your Ollama is running, we can go to your localhost here and try out 11434 port. This should give you that Ollama is running. Another way you can test it out is you can go to the taskbar and you can see this Ollama or Llama icon here, and this shows you that Ollama is running. Or what you can do is go to CMD and here you can just type Ollama run, let's say Mistral. So this is going to pull up the Mistral model from the web if you don't have already, but since I already have Mistral, so this is going to make it ready. Now I can just ask what is the capital of India, same question and the same answer. Of course, this is working now. So we have installed Ollama on our local system, and this is the place where your large language models is going to run. Step 1 is done. Now let's move on to step 2, where we are going to implement the function calling. So for that, I am going to select a folder. So I select this folder, I go to CMD here, and I go to code space dot enter. This is going to open up Visual Studio Code Editor on your local system, and we are going to start everything from the finish. In this last video, what I've done is I've worked with some demo, or in the last video, I worked with some default and some functions, two functions, for example, get antonyms and get flight times. These were some demo functions and demo API functionalities which people liked, but I know what you want. You want to see some real action happening. So in this video, I have started and tested out some real things, some real APIs, and give you the glimpse of how this function calling can help you in building different agents in this agentic world. So first and foremost, I'm going to start up a new terminal here, and in the new terminal, I want everything to be done in a different environment. So I already have Anaconda installed. So once you have Anaconda installed, you can do this. I can say conda list --envs. I can see the list of environments that I have. Conda info --envs. So I can see the list of all the environments here. I have this function calling environment here, which I'm going to activate. So I'm going to say conda activate and the name of the function. So once you do this, you are going to have the function calling environment here, and this is how we know that we are in the function calling environment. How to create an environment? This is the command for creating an environment. We say conda create -n, then the name of the environment, let's say FC, and then we use the Python 3.11. Then we put in the Python 3.11 and -y. So using this command, you can create a new environment. And in this case, I have created a function calling, and I have activated the function calling as well. So let's move on to the main crux of the code here. So in the app 1, we see that we have import JSON. Then we have imported a few libraries here. So this is the first function that we need to talk about. The first function is a function called finance data. Then we need to input the company name, which is a string, and you're going to get back a string here. Now this is the URL, okay, which we are going to post or get. And this is a query string. So symbol is the company name, which we are going to input, and period is 1 day. The headers has the API keys and the host. So these are the secret keys that you do not need to share, should not share with others. Then we get the response here. We put in the URL, we put in the headers here, and we put in the query here. So the specific company name goes into the response, goes into this part of the code here, and then we say request.get and put in these things, which are URL, headers, and params, and then we get the response. And from the response, we convert that response to JSON and then extract the data symbol. So we extract the symbol name, which will be hopefully be the same as the company name, and then we get the price of the stock price of that company. So we use an f string here. So return json.dumps. This is an f string, and we put the value here. So the current stock price of Tesla is this value. So this is a simple function. So for function calling, we need to define the function properly. Now the function calling has not yet started, but this is just a simple function. And if we want to test out a function, we can test it out. We can say finance data and the name of the company. Then we are going to get this, the current stock price of that company is this value. So this is one function which returns the stock price of that particular company. Now I have another function which is the weather place function, where we put in the place, and we get the weather condition of the place. So same thing, we use the URL here, we use the query string, and then we use the headers where we have the keys and the host. Then we get the response and we just print the response here. So this is another function. The third function is the number of COVID cases for a particular country. So given any country, we would be able to find that particular response has the confirmed number of cases of COVID for that particular country. So this is another function. Now all these functions I have searched from the RapidAPI.com, and here there are so many APIs you can search and have a look. So for example, if you want the LinkedIn data API, you just click here and then you will be diverted to that API. So you can see that person data. So if you want to search for a person, we can just link or pass in that LinkedIn profile of that person, and you can get the response in this particular format. Let's go to another one. For example, let's go to the real-time LinkedIn scraper. So search for people maybe. So here what you can do is we can just put in keywords as max, and then you will get some list of profiles which matches with the keyword max. Okay. And you get the API keys here. So of course the API keys are printed here as well. You just need to subscribe to test and you will get the fresh API keys. Then you can just copy everything here and use it as a function here. Okay, so in this example, just three functions. So first is the finance data, which returns the stock price of given a company name. The next is the weather place API or function, which given a place name, it returns the weather condition. Next is the confirmed cases of COVID function, which given a country name, returns the number of COVID cases in that particular country. Next, to define a run function here, and the client you are going to use is Ollama.async client, and also we need to install Ollama. So pip install Ollama is something you should not forget, since it is already installed for me, but you will have this installed. Then we need the message here. So role is user and content is the user input, which is put here. So the run method or the run function takes in two parameters. The first is the name of the model itself, which is basically we are going to use Llama 3.1. So when we use that function, we are going to pass in Llama 3.1 as the name of the model that we are using. User input is anything that the user inputs. So the response is this: we await client.chat model, we're going to pass in that model. Messages, we are going to pass in the messages in this format, and we are going to give them tools. So tools are very important. We have three tools. So we have defined three functions here, and these three functions are defined as tools here. So for example, taking the weather place function here, given a place name, we get the weather condition here, and the name of the function is weather place. So what we do here is take a look at this part of the code where we define a type function. We define a function name as weather place and a small description of that function. This is what the LLM is going to read. It is not going to read the entire weather place function which we have defined here, but instead it is going to have a look at the description of the function. Instead, it's going to have a look at the description of the function, the name of the function, and what does it do. In terms of parameters, we need to put in place name as a parameter here, which will be a string, and the description of the place name is that the place for which the weather data is required, and the required parameter has the place name. So we definitely need to have a place name, and given the place name, we can use this function, which is a weather place function, and this function is going to return the weather condition of that particular place. So this is what the LLM understands by reading this part of the code. So essentially we are giving one tool here. Let's look at the next tool that you're going to give to the LLM. This tool is a function named confirm cases, and we need the country name mandatory here. The country name is a string, and the description of the country name is that the country for which the number of COVID is required. The description of the function is that get the number of confirmed cases for the particular country. So given this description of the function and given the description of the country name, the LLM will decide whether to use this function, of course, depending on the user input. The last function or tool that we're going to get is the finance data function, and this is the description of the finance data function. We give it the company name, which is a mandatory required here, and this is a type string, and description is the company for which the finance data is required. Essentially we have three tools now, and the response will takes in the model as a parameter, the message as a parameter here, which has the user input, and given the tools. So there are three tools. The LLM will decide whether to use the tool or not. If not, it's perfectly fine, but the LLM has the option to use any of the three tools it deems fit. So the message is we are going to append the message here, and if the response doesn't have any tool call attributes, then it's going to return and just print out that the model didn't use any function. But if the response has tool calls as the key value, or somewhere it is going to use tool calls, then we see that we have these three functions as available functions, and depending on which function is called, we are going to pass in the appropriate parameter. For example, if the function to call is a confirmed cases, then we pass the country name. If the function to call is weather place, we pass in the place name. If the function to call is a finance data, we pass in the company name. Then we print the function response, and then we append it to the messages. So that is the run function that we have defined. Now we are using this while loop here. So user input is input plus ask, and if there is no user input, we give it this default user input. If the user input is an exit, we break this loop and come out of the loop, and this is the main crux and usage of the run function. So the function response is an asyncio run, and this run Llama 3.1 user input is the use of this function that we have defined here. So this function that you defined here, run function, given the model and the user input, this is this function that we are using. Now let's test this out if everything's clear. So Python app 1.py. This is going to start up this please ask. Let me go ahead and copy this. So what's up the weather in Delhi maybe. So we can see the response speed. We have Ollama running. That's a local model. And you can see this function has been invoked. So function is the weather place. Function has been invoked, and the response is that the weather in Delhi is all these things. So you can, since you have a pretty structured reply, now you can use another LLM, or you can just extract the thing that you want to see. So if you are just interested in the temperature, you can just filter it out. If you're interested in the precipitation, you can just filter it out. If you're interested in humidity, just filter that out. So this is a while loop. You can ask another question. So what is the total number of COVID cases in India? and you can see that the confirm cases function has been invoked, and you can see the response as this. So this is app1.py. I hope it's clear. Now in app2.py, what I've done is I've implemented the Streamlit here. So if I go to streamlit.io, you go to components here, or you can go to docs here. So inside the docs, you can go to tutorials and then work with LLMs, build a basic LLM chat app. If you go to the bottom, we have this full code for using this as a chat-like interface. For example, we have the user input here, and then the LLM's output here. We have user and output, so input output sequence, and you can see all the input output in a scrolling manner. So this is how you will be able to see using this code. So I've taken this entire code and pasted it here in app 2, and I've removed some of the things and kept which are necessary. So import Streamlit as st. Of course, we are going to install Streamlit as well. So pip install Streamlit, and this is going to install Streamlit. So st dot title, Streamlit dot title, app from prompt engineer. And if there is no messages, we start up a message, and this part of the code preserves the old messages and displays it, for example, as it is displayed here. So we have here, hi, how are you? And you can see that as we keep on inputting messages, these scroll up and are preserved and are not removed. So this part of the code, if prompt is a chat input, what is up? So this is the display that we are going to see when we give the input. And once we have the input, which is the prompt here, this goes to this part of the code, which is async your run Llama 3 prompt. This gives you the output in the answer variable, and we use that answer variable and just append it to the state messages here, and we display those as well as a markdown. So if we run this, so for running Streamlit, we need to write Streamlit run app2.py. So you can see that we have this beautiful app running, and we have app from prompt engineer. Now we can ask different questions and get the replies. So let me copy the questions of the 3 functions that we have defined. So what's up with the weather in Kolkata? And you can see that we have Ollama running here, which is pretty cool, and you can see the output is pretty fast. You can see another usage. What is the number of COVID cases in, let's say, New York? And we expect an answer pretty soon. Pretty good. Another question is, what's up with the weather in, let's say, London? And we expect an answer pretty fast. You can see this. Another, what is the number of COVID cases in, let's say, Italy? Let's wait for the answer, and you can see this answer. This is pretty fast. I have not sped up the video. It is pretty fast. It's working on my local system. We have inbuilt function calling abilities, Llama 3.1, and it's amazing. So if you like this video, please consider giving a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time in a different video with another function calling abilities. And hey, I'm going to add so many different functions in this code that ultimately, let's say we have 100 different functions, we have 100 different tools, and the LLM is free to use whatever they want. This paves the way for designing agents. So let's take it slow. Today we have learned about functions and tools. In the next video, we're going to notch this up a bit and go ahead and learn about agents. So that's it. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.